I have always wanted to represent my country for something. I've always wanted to represent Malaysia. And then I thought to myself, hey, I've grown up watching pageants, Miss World, Miss Universe, that kind of thing. When I was younger, I was very insecure. There is a stencil for beauty, what defines as a beautiful woman. So I was like, oh no, I'm not beautiful enough to go into any pageant. So I dropped that because I felt like I was not worthy. I asked my mom at that point, should I do it? And she said, if you don't do it, you will regret it. The whole point of doing this is to be able to grow as a person from trying different things. And that really impacted who I became as a person.
Welcome to today's episodes of Excel Education Talks. We aspire to inspire you through a series of conversations that we're going to have with people from different industries and educational backgrounds. For those of you who don't know what Excel Education Talks is about, you can watch our introductory video. We'll put the link in the description box below. My name is SueAnn. I will be your host for today. I am an educational consultant at Excel Education, which is a university placement agency. For more information about what we do here, you can scan the QR code here. Joining us today, we have Alexis SueAnn. Best known for being the reigning Miss World Malaysia for 2019 and 2020, Alexis has completed a bachelor's degree in psychology and is currently pursuing another bachelor's degree in communications, majoring in public relations at 𝗕𝗅 University. She has been active in Malaysia's entertainment scene for the past 7 years. As an actress, TV host, radio host, MC, you name it, she can do it. Alexis is going to take us through her journey being a full-time student and working in a very fast-paced industry at the same time. Hi Alexis, thank you so much for being here
Thanks
today.
for having me.
Yeah, so can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
A little bit, well, where do I even begin, right? My name is Alexis SueAnn, and I am a TV host, an actress, and a content creator. And I started out in the industry when I was very, very young. I didn't have that whole uni experience for myself because I started at a very young age.
How old were you when you started?
18 when I started.
Wow.
So just fresh out of high school, going into college at that point, and then straight into the industry already. So I had a lot of growing in terms of mental maturity within myself.
Do you always want to be in the entertainment industry?
No. I mean, to be very honest, right, I've never imagined myself being a TV host, let alone an actress, let alone Miss Malaysia, right? Because I've never really envisioned myself in that position before. When I was younger, I have always loved science. I still love science, right? So I've always wanted to be a doctor. Growing up, I was always a super A student in like my science classes or in my bio classes and stuff like that. At 16 or 17, I was like, okay, you know what? This is what I'm going to do in college. And then one day, I was walking on the street, I still remember, when I saw an accident right in front of my eyes.
Oh.
And the motorcyclist literally scraped his entire face on the floor, and I literally saw blood. And that was when I was like, no, I think I have a fear of blood, which defeats the purpose of being a doctor. So that was when I was like, oh no, what am I going to do for the rest of my life? I have no direction, right? Because that's all I've ever wanted to do. Even when I went into college, and I did my Canadian pre-U, I didn't have a direction back then. And at that point, I told myself, okay, if I don't go into the medical field, maybe I'll just, I don't know what's gonna lie ahead of me, but I'm just gonna take whatever jobs I can. I was about to leave for Canada for like a twinning program. And my mom was like, hey, now that you've already done your Canadian pre-U and you've completed it, why don't you, during these 3 months, why don't you just take up a job? Because I don't want you to just sit at home, lie at home, be a couch potato. It's not going to do you any good. You need to be productive at the peak of your life. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll take up a job. And then I was like going out and going on the internet and searching for jobs. When I found one that says, hey, 𝗕𝗰𝗵𝗲𝗍 is looking for an intern. I went there and I told myself, you know what, whatever experiences that I get, I'll take it from here. When I went, I interned, I poured coffee for about 3 months. And then one day they said, hey Alexis, you can write really well, and you can speak really well. would you want me to put you as a scriptwriter, as a part-time scriptwriter? And that's when I was like, yeah, you know, I like writing anyway, so I might as well. And that's when I learned how to do script writing. So I script write for the 𝗕𝗰𝗄𝗃𝗃𝗃 for about 2 months. And then one day they said, hey, one of the hosts can't make it for the live show. And this was maybe half an hour before the live show. So my producer was like, Alexis, you need to be on in about 15 minutes. Because you're the only one that can speak English in our group. And we can't find a replacement quickly. So we might as well just take you.
How did you respond though?
Obviously, I was like, I don't know what to say, right? Because I've always been camera shy. And this is the irony of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me to imagine though, camera shy.
I'm an introvert extrovert. So sometimes when I don't know people, I get very anxious and I don't know how to meet or even start a conversation with people. But then again, it's an irony because people think that, oh, just because you're in this industry now, there's no way you can be an introvert, but there's such things, where
stereotypes.
Yeah, there's stereotypes, right? So a lot of my friends in the industry as well, they're introvert extroverts. So you would see them acting as like big characters, but in real life, they're really, really, really quiet. So I was one of those people, and I was really scared going on to my first live show. So I sat on a couch exactly like that. I looked at my co-host and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, because there was no script for the 𝗕𝗰𝗄𝗃𝗃𝗃. It was just like point forms, right? It's on like a little prompter. And I was like, oh no, I don't know how to impromptu from there. And he was like, you know what? Just go with the flow. Whatever questions I ask you, just retaliate with that. I was like, fine. Did my first show, and that was when I started my career.
Just like that?
Just like that.
Not expected?
Not expected. Not at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you have been in the industry ever since then?
Yes. Yeah, correct.
Okay. So looking back at that now, do you have any regrets though? Because you say the initial plan was actually to go to Canada, right? And obviously you didn't go, right? So you actually continue, and going into entertainment industry is something that you never planned or never expected.
Yeah.
So looking back at that now, do you have any regrets for the decisions that you've made?
I wouldn't say that I have any regrets, but I would say that if I did take the other path, or I did go with the other decision, my life would have been completely different now. Sometimes I still have the thought of, oh, if I had taken that path, maybe I would have been married, I don't even know, like maybe I would have just been in a corporate job with like a husband and kids at this point. I wouldn't know. But I don't regret taking the step to stay here, because I'm very thankful for what I do, and what I do for a living now is far away from what I would have imagined me doing. But I would say that sometimes I do think about what if I went there. Yeah.
Okay. Coming back to your studies, so you study psychology, right? And you didn't end up going to that career path. A lot of students, like you say, like they would think that going to overseas is going to change their life, or if this is the degree that they're going to study, then this is the career path that I'm going to do for the rest of my life. But you obviously didn't follow that, right? How much of what you have studied in psychology you actually think that you can apply it into your work right now? Do you think you still get to apply it, or?
I do think that I apply it, and I think it's mostly when I'm acting. So for me, when I'm acting, I sometimes try to get myself into method acting. Do you know what method acting is? It's literally being the character itself instead of playing the character. It really helps me in acting, because then I'm able to see why certain characters work this way, or why the script is written in such a way. And it really helps me form my character in the best way possible. Instead of getting to know the character, I am able to live in the life of the character. So I would talk to psychologists, I would talk to people who actually live in that position, that kind of thing. And I think psychology really helps me in a sense where I'm able to identify the causes and what the root of the problem stems from. Yeah.
That's so interesting though. What makes you to decide that you want to pursue another degree?
I don't know how long I'll be in this industry. I don't know how long my relevance would be on par with what I'm doing now in, let's say, 10 years, in the next 10 years. So for me, I like to think ahead. I like to think about what's going to happen, what are my plans for the next 5 years, what are the plans for the next 10 years. If I want to remain in this industry, what other routes can I take to maintain that status? I've always wanted to create my own businesses. You know, I've always been into entrepreneurship. I like watching all these like entrepreneurship things. I like Shark Tank. I love Shark Tank. I always watch it on Netflix. So I've always been into knowing how to create new things to better the lives of people, knowing how to benefit the community around me. So business was something that I really wanted to do, and I was like, hey, if I'm already in the industry, maybe I can create or open up my own PR firm or my own communications company. And that was when I was like, hey mom, maybe I want to go back to school. And she was like, what? You want to go back to school?
Another degree?
Yeah. And she was like, are you sure you can handle it? That's the exact words. She was like, yes, I am in support of it, but can you handle it? And I clearly remember telling her, if there's a will, there's a way. At that point, my career was very, very different as well. I wasn't doing as much. So I said, you know, I have to think about my future. I don't know how long I can act. I don't know what's going to happen, so I might as well just get into it. And I think that's why I got into communications, because I wanted to know the tricks and tips and the works of how this industry works back end, because I've always been on the front. I've always been in front of the camera, but I don't know what's behind it. I don't know the work that is put into it to create an event, to create an entire video, that kind of thing. So I think that's the reason why I wanted to go into it.
And you're a full-time student.
I am, yeah.
How did you manage your time though? Like being a full-time student, and like you say, back then when you started the course, you probably wasn't that busy, right? But now probably your schedule is already packed up. How do you manage it between being a student full-time, not part-time, and working in the industry?
It's very, very difficult, I would say. And I have to admit, sometimes I feel like giving up, because I feel like at times where I am not able to go to school to attend classes, what if I cannot catch up? And if I don't go for that class because I'm at a set on a shoot, and I miss out one of the most important classes, I won't be able to catch up there. And because I won't be able to catch up there, my grades will deteriorate from there on, you know? So I'm very particular about my score, which is very bad, I would say, but I'm very particular about what I score. So whatever it is, I would kill myself to make sure that I maintain my CGPA, because I am on a scholarship anyways. So it is very, very difficult, but I would say that the best thing to do is to have a physical timetable, a physical, like a whiteboard. I have it at home, right? And I literally plan out my week. So Mondays to Sundays, I will make sure that 8 o'clock I do this, 10 o'clock I do this.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I will make sure that if I come home from a shoot late, I sometimes won't sleep because I would have to do my assignment and pass it up. And I don't like to procrastinate, so I don't really do my assignments like a day before, right? So I will make sure I hand up my assignments at least a week beforehand, so that I don't have to get into trouble if I am not able to hand it up on that day.
Wow. And which year are you in right now?
Three. My last year.
So I guess you did answer your mom's questions that, you know, are you able to handle it?
Yeah, technically.
Yeah, mom, I did.
Yeah,
and I'm still doing it.
Technically,
wow.
yeah.
Okay. And what made you decide to take part in Miss Universe Malaysia in 2018, and then again in Miss World Malaysia in 2019?
To keep it short and sweet, I have always wanted to represent my country for something. I've always wanted to represent Malaysia. And when I was younger, I actually was very, very involved in track and field. So I wanted to go to the Malaysian level, but I wasn't unable to do so, so I stopped at Selangor. And that's when I was like, oh no, what other ways are there if I'm not like physically train to do this to run and everything. I can't go to the Olympics and everything. What other ways were there? What other options were there for me to represent the country? And then I thought to myself, hey, I've grown up watching pageants. You know, on TV you watch Miss World, Miss Universe, that kind of thing. So I told myself, maybe I'll get into pageants. And then I thought to myself, maybe not, because I'm a bit not pageant-y. Because there is a different look for beauty queens. And at that point, early back in the days, inclusivity was not very involved, right? So there is a stencil for beauty, what defines as a beautiful woman. So at that point, when I was younger, I was very insecure. So I was like, oh no, I'm not beautiful enough to go into any pageant. So I dropped that completely. And then one day, one of the Miss Universe Malaysia's representative, one of the staffs, approached me via Instagram and said, hey Alexis, we actually saw you like a couple months back and we were wondering whether you could come in for an audition. And I clearly remember telling her, no, I don't want to, because I felt like I was not worthy of that title. I was not worthy of going, even entering as a finalist. So I said no to her, and she was like, think about it, I'll give you a month. And then within that month, I was thinking about it, and I asked my mom at that point, because I was very young, I was like 21 or 22. And I said, should I do it? And she said, if you don't do it, you will regret it. Because you think about it all the time to the point where you would regret the decision of not taking up something that you've always been watching on TV and stuff like that. And when you're 50, you would think, what if I had done that? So I was like, yeah, okay, fine, I'll try. So that's when I went into Miss Universe Malaysia 2018. And then when I went in for an audition, I think they were selecting from 200 girls to about 50, and I was like, oh, I don't know whether I can do it. So I went in for my audition, went really well, and I said, you know, whatever it is, I tried. And I told my mom I tried. She was like, yeah, the whole point of doing this is to be able to grow as a person from trying different things. And that really impacted how I became, or who I became as a person. Actually, the entire year, I was working extremely hard because I always thought hard work would pay off. For an entire year, I told myself, okay, because I know that I'm not physically as stunning, as beautiful as what I saw on stage for Miss Universe International, I have to build myself in different ways. And that's where I started working out. I started exercising a lot. And I was doing that for about at least 8 months straight, where I would work out 3 times a day, 7 days a week.
Wow.
It was a little bit too much. It's tense, yeah.
Okay.
So I would just do that like every single day for 8 months. And that's when I got really, really skinny. My body fat percentage was like 8%, 9%, and an average woman body fat percentage is about 20. So you can imagine how skinny and how bony I was at that point. But also, people thought that, wow, you look so great because you're like muscular, because you're working out so much. And I remember my friends telling me, this is too much. Like my personal friends, like, this is too much.
Did you feel too much though?
No, I didn't. That's the dangerous part, isn't it? Because you're in that little zone where you think, no, this is not enough for me. I need to get even. It's the same as plastic surgery. You know, sometimes when you think that this is enough, actually people see you as, wow, this girl is already super beautiful, or this guy is already like good looking. But to yourself, you think, no, it's not enough. I need to do more. So that was my state at that point. Yeah, I didn't see it as something that would get me to a point where it would be super dangerous for my body. And my friends will come up to me and say, no, this is enough, you need to stop, because if it looks as if I push you down with one finger, you could literally fly off the roof. You know, that's exactly what they told me. And I was like, no, what are you talking about? I'm still not skinny enough, blah, blah, blah. But in the pictures, when I look at it now, I'm like, oh my God, I can never be at that stage anymore because I don't know, I just eat all the
probably
time.
don't want to be.
I don't want to be, you know, it was not healthy. So that was the mentality I was in when I joined Miss Universe, which was the wrong mentality to be in, because I was so highly competitive to the point where I said, no matter what, I'm gonna push myself so that I know if I don't win, I've done all the best I could. So that's the mentality.
How did you overcome that though? Because you said that you think that you were not beautiful enough, you were not good enough, right? So you went into that state. How did you get up from that?
Honestly, for me, the right group of friends play a very big part, right? The support system that you have, as cliche as it sounds, it really does play a big part. The people around you, the community around you that either uplifts you or puts you in a worse state. Right, so I had very good friends. I have very good friends who psychic me or like really sat me down and told me, this is too much. You know, I'm really mad at you. Why are you doing this? Instead of saying, no, Alexis, no, you're so beautiful. Instead of giving me or encouraging me or giving me words of like happiness or whatever, they didn't do that. Instead, they sat me down and said, this is too much. I don't know why you're doing all these things, why you're thinking this way. This needs to stop. And if you haven't already seen it from your own eyes, this is what you've been doing. And they listed down all the things.
Wow.
Yeah.
People who truly know you, love you, and cared about you.
Exactly.
Wow.
So I had people like that around me that could sit me down and did not give two hoots about whether I got mad at them or not. Because that's the most important thing, you know. If your true friendship is when you can say anything to the other person and the person won't get mad, right?
True.
So because of that, I think I got out of that state. And when I did not win Miss Universe, I was very, very, very down. Because in my head, I thought, oh my God, why did I try my best? I literally executed everything according to what I perceived as perfect, but I did not win. Why is that? So that really, really psyched me into a point where I really fell like into a dark hole, and I really placed myself in a situation where I told myself, you know, this only proves that I'm not beautiful enough. You know, there's no other way, no other solution, no other explanation why I did not win. I'm not beautiful enough, I'm not tall enough, I am not worthy enough. So I was in that state for such a long time, to the point where I think like I said, with the right group of friends, with the right community beside me and around me, I managed to get up again. But I told myself, I said I would never ever join another pageant anymore.
And then you went into
and then I went to another one. So, but I don't regret it, you know. At that point, I think a lot of people had the same reaction as you, and a lot of my friends were like, sis, not again. Like,
But what makes you want to do it again though?
If I don't do Miss World Malaysia, I would never forgive myself, because I love what they stand for, which is beauty with a purpose. It was more of the emotional journey. It takes a lot of effort to put yourself in a situation where you're free from judging yourself.
What are the tips and advice for students who are trying to figure out what they want to do?
Never stop trying. Never stop searching for different avenues. You will never know what brings you joy.
Yep.
If you don't ace your SPM or you don't ace your IGCSEs, that's not the end of the world. You still have a long way ahead of you.